company can be a leader today without leading with technology. And these are all technology companies. That's even more true today as artificial intelligence, AI, becomes embedded. If you don't do this, you fall behind. Hi everyone, and welcome to this new podcast called Lead with IT. I'm Kathryn Guarini, the host of the podcast, and I'll be starting today with a solo episode to give you a bit of an introduction on myself and the topic at hand. I am a PhD scientist who has spent most of my career as a technology executive, leading research, development, product management, and IT teams to drive value at large global scale. I've also now served on a number of boards of directors of public and nonprofit organizations, and I teach as an educator for both undergraduate and graduate students technology, innovation, and leadership courses. So I've seen technology from the lab bench through the C-suite and to the boardroom. I've engaged with up-and-coming emerging leaders in the classroom to the most senior level at global companies like IBM and in many industries around the world on how technology can be a differentiator, a force for competitive advantage in today's very fast-moving world. I call this Lead with IT because I believe fundamentally that no company can be a leader today without leading with technology, information technology broadly. Think about every technology, every company that you know, whether it's Morgan Stanley. Do you think of them as a bank? Amazon as a retailer? Pfizer as a pharmaceutical company? I'd ask you to think again. These are all technology companies. And so is the small business down the street or your bank or your grocery store. They are fundamentally led by technology if they are going to survive and thrive today. Technology is how you find customers, it's how you serve their needs, how you develop your products, how you run your operations. And that's even more true today as artificial intelligence, AI, becomes embedded in our systems, in our processes. Today's world is interconnected in a way it hasn't been in ever, more so every single day. The dependencies on cloud providers, on identity management tools, on security software, these tie us together. It presents both opportunity and risks, and those leading today can set the pace by making technology, making IT front and center. If you don't do this, you fall behind. I've seen this play out in so many different areas. As the IBM CIO sitting in the C-suite, we were looking for both those opportunities and risk mitigation solutions using technology. One huge program I had the opportunity to lead and manage through was a massive spin-off, one of the largest IT infrastructure carve-outs in corporate history, when IBM made the decision to spin its managed infrastructure services business into a new company that's known as Kyndryl today. It was a massive footprint, hugely interconnected software and infrastructure, people across the company, employees that were deeply connected to the rest of the business that would stay part of IBM. And the IT separation was front and center. One, because these are two technology companies, but I'd argue that that's true of any merger acquisition or integration challenge today, that technology is and must be front and center. Think about how you manage the data, the applications to drive value, to protect, to secure, and to ensure that these two independent businesses could each thrive in a competitive space that would be then distinct. So huge number of technology decisions, challenges that needed to be decided, how the carve out would be done, would be protecting the unique data of each of these organizations to be done at speed, understanding the criticality to the business. It's just one example of technology being so central to the execution of business strategy. Another I'll share with you, I had the opportunity to launch and lead a program. We called it IBM Impact Science. Probably one of the most favorite projects I had a chance to work on throughout my career so far. This was applying science and technology to help tackle some of the most challenging problems facing society and the world. The future of climate, the future of health, the future of work, and some of the very difficult challenges that we face in society and the world today. And what I really enjoyed about the program was it really rallying the passion and the expertise of scientists and engineers across the company and through a partner ecosystem to align around really tough, intractable problems and look at how we could bring new solutions, new hope, an evolving landscape to really make progress on those challenges which have plagued us, of course, for so long. This is actually pre-COVID. It seemed a little bit prophetic in retrospect that we were looking at some of these topics that, of course, became so front and center for all of us in 2020 when the world shut down and we were looking at new ways of working, new ways of dealing with a global health crisis and so on. And that mechanism of using the scientific method of embracing technology and really being in problem-solving leadership mode has really stood the test of time. Today I serve on the board of directors for Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, which is a public biotech company. I serve on the audit committee as well as launching a new digital technology committee. And in all those capacities, it's really thinking through how can this leading company who is so innovative and so driven by science, how can it leverage technology for competitive advantage? What are the ways that we can accelerate drug discovery, enroll clinical trials, get drugs to market and through FDA approval faster to impact the lives of patients, to be able to support our communities? And there are so many ways in which technology plays a critical role in the biopharma industry. And one of my roles on the board is to support this company in accelerating its operations and its science, leveraging technology. And finally, today I get a chance to engage the next generation, which is one of the most inspiring and challenging opportunities given what students are facing today. As I teach undergraduates at Yale University in the engineering department and MBA students at the Yale School of Management and at Cornell Tech, I see both the opportunities and the challenges in front of them. They're grappling with this speed of change in the world. They're seeing that skills and jobs are changing in front of them as they are emerging from school. They're wondering what the future holds. But what I tell them, and what I will tell all of you, is technology is the future. It is happening today. And if they, as emerging leaders, can find how to embrace that technology, they can get comfortable with it, they can grow with it, they can use it to build competitive advantage, whether they're starting their own business, they're joining a large corporate, they're off on their own in various capacities. No matter what the role, what the industry, there is no doubt in my mind that technology will be central to their success. And so building those core skills, thinking broadly about how to lead teams where technology is at the table, thinking about What is our cloud strategy? How are we going to protect our data? What are opportunities for new apps and automation and AI technology to differentiate our business? And how, by having those conversations and having a comfort with both the technology and the business, the implications for the business and the priorities of the business, that can help them be successful no matter what the future holds. I really fundamentally believe that, and I know how inaccessible technology appears for many, but what I encourage the students, and I would encourage all of you, is this is what's happening today. This is the future. And as a business leader, as a consumer, as a builder of technology, as a parent, as a member of society, it is imperative that we embrace technology as a huge part of our lives, a huge competitive differentiator, an opportunity to drive tremendous value, to solve real problems. And I see this as incredibly exciting, inspiring, and I'm excited through this podcast to have real conversations with leaders who are navigating this across different industries and different roles. We'll explore, what does leading with IT mean in the pharmaceutical industry versus the financial services industry. We'll talk about the different roles you might play, whether you're in the C-suite, whether you're a builder, or whether you consider yourself primarily an adopter or consumer of technology. You all have a role to play in this emerging technology ecosystem. And I will argue that organizations that lead with IT set the pace. Those that don't will fall behind. So you don't just use IT. You don't think of IT as an order taker or a back office organization. Lead with IT for tremendous advantage and tremendous value. Over the coming episodes, we will unpack this and explore in greater detail with real stories and real ideas of what you can do in your role to lead with IT. I'm Kathryn Guarini, and I look forward to having further conversations about technology with all of you. Thank you.